Hi, I'm Eric Lanask. We're here in Santa Clara at Editor's Day. From Movimento, I'm talking with Mahbubul Alam now. Mahbubul, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Movimento, tell me, who is the company? What do you do?
Movimento is a company that does, originated in 2003, and it does reflash of cars. So all the microprocessors, the ECUs in the car, it reflashes and updates. And today we have evolved to doing software update over the year.
Interesting.
Yes. So what it basically means is when you have a software for ADAS system or electronics, there are some bugs, some security patches need to be deployed, or a new feature has to be added. Instead of going to the dealership, you can do that over the year at your leisure. It could be in your parking garage, or it could be parked at your office.
So obviously the benefit for the car owner is that you don't have to go back to the dealer, right?
It's much more than that. One is that you don't have to go to the dealer, obvious, and schedule and all the hassle, but also ability to get something new, things that were not there in the car before. You have a new application, a new service that the car has rolled out. Ability to get that in the car is amazing. You might not have had that when you bought the car. So it becomes a thing that, just like your phone, some of the apps you didn't have it when you bought the phone. But over the lifetime, you have different apps. And we might have the two same phone, but our apps are not exactly the same. So what it allows you also to have personalized services, what you like, what I like, and our likes are very different. Some are common. Maybe email is common, right?
Sure.
But there are other things that are not common. So ability to personalize and to provide new services over the lifetime of the vehicle is very important. And that's what Movimento does, is software life cycle of the vehicle, whether it is existing software or something new that is added on over its lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are benefits obviously then for the vehicle manufacturer, also for the software developers, right?
Absolutely.
Talk about those.
So for the vehicle manufacturer, it's very important to reduce the cost for recall and for maintenance. So if you look at a typical car today, they have about 100 million lines of code. And a fully autonomous car is somewhere between 500 to 800 million lines of code. Just to put it in perspective, it is 10 times more. Today, it is already 10 times more than a Dreamliner 787. Because car is a distributed networking in a car. There are 100 microcomputers in the car. So what the benefits of having all these codes is that it also requires a lot of updates from our perspective. From the OEM perspective is that car is becoming more electronics, more software, more sophisticated, autopilot, auto parking, autonomous, semi-autonomous behavior. This requires regular updates, and if you have to go to the dealer for non-mechanical update, it can cost you a lot. So they just want to provide the car and reduce the cost of operations. And so if they can do a software update over the year, that cost fraction compared to going to a physical dealer. Mm-hmm. Obviously, for mechanical and hardware change, you still need to go to dealer.
Sure.
But as the software is increasing, the expectation is there will be more software updates rather than a hardware change. So it's a huge savings for the OEM, for the car maker.
And obviously, it saves the time and effort and energy and potentially money as well for the owner not having to go.
Yes,
so there's that same benefit.
Same benefit, and if you look at some of the trend, as the millennials are moving to more of the car sharing, and as you move into the world of car sharing, they won't be the owner of the car. In other words, then the car manufacturer will be responsible of car updates and everything. So then it also allows a new consumption and a new monetization model, which is the trend we are seeing.
I think you touched on something that I think is critical, is that as these automobiles, and we can leave the fully autonomous cars aside, but even as today's cars become more and more complex and get to the hundreds of thousands of lines of codes that you talk about, the amount of time it would take and effort it would take to have to bring those cars into the dealer for every little upgrade or every patch or every security question or concern nobody would be able to do that. So then you'd end up with huge risks in terms of safety issues, right?
Correct. Safety patches. We are used to our cell phone and our laptops. You see every day some software is coming up because the vulnerability is constantly being discovered.
Microsoft every Tuesday, right?
So that is the nature. So the vehicle is not vehicle anymore. It's a software platform.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, and it's a software platform. And in a software world, one thing we know, people who have done software is never done. It's just a release. It's a stable release, and there is again an update. So if you think from that perspective, it's a huge. IHS, an analyst firm, has done an estimate of what it means for the OEM from cost savings. And they estimated by 2021, the savings alone is about $35 billion for doing over-the-air update. And we're not talking about creating new features and functionality that like Tesla has done autopilot. That's a new benefit that is added, and they're also monetizing it additionally. So if you look at the value at stake, which is savings and new revenue, it's much bigger than that.
How does it work with a vehicle? Certainly, you referred to the cell phone a couple of times. When your cell phone updates, and it has to reboot. So obviously, you can't have your car having to reboot while you're in the middle of a freeway.
Right. So this is a very important to understand what is automotive, and there is one very important difference is many people, for simplicity, we tend to say, cell phone is like, car is like a cell phone on wheels, right? It's not, because there is two things that the cell phone industry misses, and they have never tackled it. They don't know, which is called safety, human safety and control of the system. These two are not there in a cell phone. Now, when you add safety and control, and that requires domain expertise, domain knowledge, understanding how vehicle works, because, as you said, reset or reboot is not acceptable when you're driving.
Right.
So you have to design it in a very different way, and there are different things that comes into place when you have to bring safety to the mix. And also, don't forget compliances plays also, government regulatory compliances and so on.
How often do vehicles require upgrades?
So typically,
or updates?
Yeah, it's kind of directly correlated with the number of software lights or the electronics in the car. You have minimum electronics, you don't have that much update. As more electronics, we all like self-parking, we all like autopilot, we like ADAS system, we like active cruise control, we like cameras and all those kind of things, and you will have V2V soon, vehicle to vehicle.
Yep.
All those things that is coming requires more and more updates. So the update will increase, but it's not unusual to have 3 to 5 updates a year. Right now.
And that number is going to likely increase.
That's going to go exponential. It's going to grow because you will come to a place where security is a must at all time, which means proactive patches, proactive updates of software. Proactive. It's not because it's about safety, so it's not going to be like optional. So some of those things are going to be mandatory updates. As soon as a OEM discovers, like in the case of Tesla, they discovered, or they had a security breach, they discovered, they did a patch, and they let the world know, hey, we already patched it.
Interesting. And very exciting, very necessary, also a little bit scary.
Yeah, any technology, if you go back in the history, any technology which came on brings some risk, technology risk. Sure. When we connect it to the internet, we all see the benefit, but we also know the hackers are out there. We also know our financial system, utility system, our nuclear plant, our defense, everything is connected to internet today. It brought a lot of benefits. It brings out some of not ugly nature of technology. We have to not be fearful. We have to be ahead of it. We have to learn from it and take best practices from other industries and keep on taking advantage, because the benefits is much bigger than not connecting. Because you have situations where I ask myself, why do I need to go every day morning to drop my daughter to school? And at 8 o'clock near the school, it's all jammed up.
Yes.
8:10, it's all empty. And why is it when picking up, again, the same thing happens.
Same thing.
Why can't you have an autonomous vehicle which just goes from my home to next home and collect a couple of kids and just drop them to school and bring them back? Same thing in Japan. 1/3 of the Japanese population are going to retire by 2020, which is just in 4 years from now. 1/3. People like independence. How do they maintain independence? They need to be able to go shopping. They need to be able to do things that they do in a city. Blind people. There are so many people that would benefit from this kind of technology. That's amazing.
Excellent. Very exciting stuff. Can't wait to hear more about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.